Well, here's some of the horseshit boomer propaganda I wake up to. Christ, can I even get the fucking meme to stay there? Fucking stay there, you piece of shit. I can't even read the thing. Well, I can't go to any other window because the thing will stop recording instantaneously, so I guess you can read it or stop and rewind so that you can watch freeze it at the first 3 seconds so you can read the bullshit. Oh, it doesn't guarantee success, it guarantees equal opportunity, blah, blah. No, it fucking doesn't. No, it fucking doesn't. Oh, equal opportunity. No, bullshit, dude. Equal opportunity, my fucking ass. Equal opportunity to fucking apply to work at fucking McDonald's or something. Equal opportunity to pump gas or clean fucking toilets somewhere, maybe. Fuck. Equal opportunity. What a load of shit. I mean, look. I get that. I don't know. Things that I find interesting or, well, for the most part, okay, like in the past, right? I am totally more made for the for like the way things used to be, right? The way things used to be, like, say the year I was born, and prior to that, and maybe for a little while after that, it was true. Sort of. Not really completely true, but there was still a lot of things you could do, right? Well, like for instance, in say the 80s or 90s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, with the stuff I know, right? Or I don't know. There's numerous examples. Okay, in the past, like I could have had, say, a computer repair shop, and that would have been a completely normal thing. But I'm just giving you an example of, or an electronics repair shop, right? Those are just a couple examples of ways that in the past I could have made good money, you know, doing something that I pretty much know how to do, and I could have got all the certifications and so on and so forth. I could have, worked for an internet provider as, I guess I could still try to do that. I mean, my point is, those are things that kind of don't exist anymore, Just a lot of things that used to exist don't exist. The ma and pop type shops all over the place. I mean, everything's fucking. There's been I should look it up. I don't know. One of these times when I record a rant, I had to have a laptop out, already connected to the internet, so I could be like browsing the internet and searching for things while I'm fucking ranting, because I can't do anything on this fucking phone other than have the stupid CapCut logo in my face the whole time if I try to fucking record anything. Without having another device out with the internet. The only way to have the internet on a laptop is to share the Wi-Fi from this fucking thing, yeah. because I can't afford to pay for the fucking internet connection. You know. Equal opportunity, not equal outcome. It's not fucking equal opportunity. It's how much money do you have, and if you, and you know, how high is your credit score plus the amount of money that you have, you know, and then if you get some business going with that money, then you can, well, then you've got all sorts of fucking opportunity all of a sudden, right? But people who don't already fucking have a bunch of money, you ain't got, you know, you got fuck all for opportunity. You got a bunch of other, you know, people supporting you or something. I mean, you kind of need that anyways. I mean, equal opportunity, I don't know. To some extent, in some ways, you could say it's equal opportunity, but it's not really. Because, I mean, the truth of the matter is it's a popularity contest, and and the ones that control the ones that are in charge of who is popular, you know, in whichever area, like, well, I don't know, man. If you want to get into pretty much any professional field, I think the rule basically is that you've either got to be evil or dumb enough to go along with all the evil. You've either got to be witting, you know, knowingly evil, and that'll get you an even higher position, like smart evil or dumb evil. That'll let you, you know, and I mean, most of these companies and shit that, I mean, think about it. How fucking evil almost every company in existence basically is super fucking evil. I mean, think about it, dude. I mean, think about, like, I don't know. Try to come up with any, you know, just think of a company off the top of your head, right? And think about, you know, what it actually does, and like, and honestly, I would even go so far as to probably include, like, Christian charity organizations. I would almost, yeah, I'm not 100% sure about this, but yeah, from what I've seen, I would almost include them in, you know, the list of, like, evil companies and stuff like that. I would almost yeah. So basically, how do you make money? Sell yourself to evil. How do you make more money? Sell yourself harder to evil. Basically. How do you make more money? Bend over, spread your cheeks, and sell yourself even harder. Yeah. That's basically what the fuck it looks like nowadays. It seems to be that way. Oh my god. Oh, so everybody's got equal opportunity. Equal opportunity, not equal. That's complete fucking bullshit, man. A whole hell of a lot of what your opportunity is depends on. I mean, you don't just come out of the womb knowing everything. You know, you're not just born, and not everybody is just born surrounded by people who know what the fuck they're talking about. Most of us are not, you know? For one thing, most of our fucking parents. I mean, look, I'm sorry, you know. Most of our parents don't know fucking shit about what the hell they're doing, what they're talking about, you know? And sorry to. That sounds disrespectful or whatever the hell. No, I'm just saying, man. You know? But they lived in a different world, a different time. Things, you know. A time where, you know, there was a lot more opportunity and shit like that. I mean, the difference between the boomers, like, you know, my dad and shit, and the time that they lived in and shit, it's almost like trying to, they act like they think we're still living in a time where, well, I mean, like for instance, they'll still tell you stories, right, occasionally, or, you know, still find these inspirational stories from, like, way in the past in the U.S., right? Like the story of Carl Karcher, you know, starting Carl's Jr., you know, starting it out with a hot dog cart or something. Or the story of, you know, Ray Kroc taking over McDonald's, or the story of Colonel Sanders, KFC, or, you know. I know these are all kind of like food examples, but I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not. I'm not saying there's not some like opportunities or something, but when you're young, especially, right? There's some opportunity. But if you don't recognize them and don't go for them when you're like a teenager and in your teens and early 20s, and not everybody has access to them. So, you know, some people have access. It depends. What opportunities are available to you depends on your talents and abilities and where you're located and who's around you. You know, depends on what's, you know, whatever opportunities available is, you know, where you're at. You know. Equal opportunity. I'm just saying. I mean, at least in in the instance of like my life or whatever, my parents didn't really teach me. My parents and the school system and everything didn't really teach me anything or hardly anything that I needed to know about, like, you know, making money, getting a job, getting into a career, like none of that shit. And I tried to go to like guidance counselor, career day, you know, shit like that. And, you know, it just seemed like those people had no idea what the hell they were talking about it. Because it's just like where you're at, you know? I mean, well, you're very limited by what sort of connections you've got and how much money you've got. And, I mean, you wouldn't believe how frequently I run into situations. I'm like surrounded by people who seem to have like unlimited money cheat and stuff. You know? I bump into people in like they're in like in their 20s all the time with they got like new cars, or even see people like, and look, I mean, don't get me wrong. Look, I'll see I'll see somebody working at some fast food joint, right? That I know it doesn't pay very much, right? And I know damn well that's not how they're affording to do whatever it is that they're doing, whether it be buying a new car or taking a vacation to Paris or whatever the hell, right? But they're doing things like that, right? For whatever reason, they have some kind of connect, some I don't know. There's a lot of little fucking subtle things that can make all the difference in the world in terms of giving a person an advantage over other people, right? Having a group of friends that aren't complete shitheads is incredibly beneficial, right? Like if you have even having one good friend that is not uh not a slime ball, not a you know not a bad influence, et cetera, et cetera. Or even, I mean, even ones that are, honestly, even having friends that are screw ups is more beneficial than being alone in a lot of ways. If any part of them gives a shit about you don't want somebody obsessing over you, but like if any part of them gives a shit about your well being, or willing to help or whatever, then yeah, that's more useful than not having anyone to help. That's the difference between, let's say you have to move or something. That's the difference between, can you call somebody up and have people show up and help you, carry the other side of the couch, or can't you? Quite the difference when you think about it. If you're. Sort of. Or do you have somebody to call up and who will let you crash on their couch? Do you have somebody that would give you a place to stay, stuff like that, right? My cutting myself off from like people I used to hang out with because I was trying to better myself, wanting to get sober, wanting to I don't know, man, equal opportunity. It's bullshit, dude. The whole equal opportunity thing is complete bullshit because people with, even if they're not super rich, like well-to-do, even just like middle class parents, that some middle class people are actually smart, and I mean, they're probably going to be upper middle class or something. But I mean, having the right parents makes a fucking world of difference, right? Like if my parents had handled things a little differently with me, right? Well, I mean, like, for instance, there's things that my dad could have done. Like, my dad could have, for instance, went into the bank and added me to his credit card or something, or or something, yeah, to some credit card. He could have added. I mean, and it wouldn't have mattered how he did. He could have added me to. He could have went and said, "Got a new credit card," for instance, added me to it, and then just used it smartly with spare bucks to like. Just the fact that he had a decent credit score would have built mine up, so it wouldn't have been zero, right? When I wouldn't have started out at zero is the point. It would have given me a credit history so that when I was like 18 or whatever, I would have already had a credit history that probably would have been pretty high, and it would have given me a chance, And other things he could have done, like if he would have like had any sort of taken any sort of interest in like career training. I mean, I hear a lot of people like bitching about their boomer parents telling them to go to college and feeling like they wasted their life because they went to college or whatever. Well, honestly, I feel like your boomer parents are better than mine, man. Because like mine, I like even when I tried to suggest college, my boomer parents, my mom would either just not even be paying attention and be like, "I'm trying to watch TV," and my dad would be like, "Oh, you're just trying to be making teeth. You just need to get a fucking job," right? I always felt that like there's no kind of fucking job that you can get hardly without having some sort of a degree or some sort of a license or some sort of a permit or something to get the fucking job. I mean, yeah. There's tons of jobs that I know would be like a fucking walk in the park, like piece of cake probably for me, dude. That took people like, but there's the people that have those jobs had to go, had to take some kind of college course or something, had to spend 30, 40, 50, $60,000 in debt or whatever to get certification or something. I mean, take for instance like a phlebotomist. Let's say you want to be a phlebotomist and your job is to stick a needle in somebody's arm, right? That takes years of college or whatever to do that. To do a job that any IV drug user could do 10 times better than you. Or literally, or anyone that like just common sense or basic like sensitivity at the ends of their fingers to be able to find the location of a vein, and basic common sense to know that you don't want to stick the needle in too far because then you'll go through the vein into the right, like it doesn't take a rocket scientist is what I'm saying to do that sort of shit, or to be a X-ray technician or something. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to be a fucking X-ray technician. But it does take years of college to get the fucking certification to be able to get a job like that, right? And if you have jobs like that, they don't even fucking pay that well. But it took you, you dig yourself in what? 30, 40, 50, 60 grand in debt or whatever? So you can get some job that barely pays better than minimum wage or something? But hey, at least it's respectable, right? And I mean, nowadays, it's hard to know what the fuck to do nowadays. content creation maybe, but the thing is, I've been any content I create like has been censored for a long, long time. But well, I think there's ways to get around that, But you still got to be able to afford things to be able to try and get around. I mean, like, I should just give up ranting about the kind of shit that, using this thing like some therapy platform and just whatever. I'm gonna learn my way around these fucking AI tools better. I mean, I don't know, man. I've played around with like the CapCut some, and some of the stuff about it is kind of cool and everything. And I mean, years and years and years ago, I was pretty good with Windows Movie Maker back in the day, right? Everything wants your money nowadays, though. What did I just see advertised on CapCut? Them saying they wanted, new advanced features, only $75 a month or some bullshit. I was like, what? That's like almost as high as my fucking auto insurance. What the fucking. Look, man. There's a lot of things that fuck with equal opportunity, right, in this country, and that make it. There was never really true equal opportunity, but there was a lot more abundant opportunity out there everywhere. And you could basically do pretty much just about anything, right? and have a chance to get ahead. That is kind of how it used to be. It doesn't seem like it's really like that anymore, though. Well, I don't know, because like for a number of reasons. For one thing, oh god, how long do I really want to rant for here? I had to turn this shit off already. Okay. It's a lot of fucking things that have changed, right? Like, for one thing, there's been a monopolization where, like, a handful of corporations have bought out and taken control of basically everything, right? Yeah, we're living in like some kind of dystopian nightmare world now where it's like I don't know. You ever see that? You ever watch the show The Librarians? Remember the episode where what was it, Morgana or something? Like change the world. Everything they show up in a world and everything's black and white. Everybody that and everybody there like basically works for the same company or what. It's just called The Company, Like, yeah, that's kind of like. Well, what I mean is, yeah, everything has been kind of consolidated, and there's so many of these mega corporate. Well, it still looks like there's more companies, but like really, they're all being bought up by the same people and stuff. So it's an illusion more now, right? Like there's a bunch of different grocery stores, but a whole lot of them, most of them, are like I don't. I would have to have again another device right in front of me so I could look the data up and have specific. I don't know. I don't remember the specific names of what corporations. I mean, obviously there's the big ones like Blackstone, BlackRock, Vanguard. You know, stuff like that. Blackstone is what seems to be, buy up everything around here. Hell, I don't know. Maybe that's what I should be trying to do, is trying to find a way to get hired at fucking Blackstone or something, because that's who fucking gonna own everything in this fucking town probably, and around, not just the town, probably the whole fucking state. I don't know. Because there's nothing, there's no options anymore. It's just like an illusion of options. There's no. Again, like also the of course what opportunities there are also depends on where you're at, right? Like obviously there's going to be a lot more options if you're in like New York City or Portland or Seattle or whatever than there is, or Vegas, or so on and so forth, than there is in the middle of bumfucked Egypt somewhere, right? Yeah, that's true. Basic things like if you want to work on the docks, you gotta go to the ocean. If you want to work as work on a boat, you gotta go to you gotta go to the ocean if you want to. You want to work on a ranch, you gotta go where there's ranches. If you want to work at Google, right, you've got to go to Google, and even if Google is 3,000 miles away from where you're at, you've got to travel to where they are, right? Pretty much. Well, again, that's another reason. That's another thing that's been choking opportunity for people that are poor. Is that well, the cost of living is ridiculous. There's nowhere like in another. I'm just illustrating something again that was different in the past, right? For one, for so many numerous reasons, it was a lot cheaper to travel. You know, driving was cheaper, a bus was cheaper, the train was cheaper, the motel rooms were cheaper, like so a lot cheaper. The laws were not so like that. If you camped out somewhere, it wasn't such a bad thing where you'd get harassed so much, you know. If you slept in your car as you traveled across the country, you'd be a lot less likely to get harassed and screwed with. There was bathrooms available, places to throw your garbage away, you know. Just pointing out like some super basic shit in which like if you were going to try and travel to look for work or something, it'd be a lot easier to do in the past. That's all I'm saying. While all the companies have been monopolized basically into a hand, rolled up, from thousands of different companies into like a handful of companies that just have bought out the names of the thousands of companies. Yeah, that's what people don't really realize, I think, is that most of the companies are owned by like one or two companies, you know. It's true. Don't believe me, like... look, this is... it's why in many instances, like, you go around to 10 different restaurants, like chain restaurants or something, they're liable to have the same ingredients from the same company. I don't know. I'm trying to remember what the names of some of the companies are. But I remember one company name, but I could be way off. I could be thinking of something from like a long time ago. Like, I'm not sure if this company is still the powerhouse that it used to be or not. But, alright, I'll say the company, Cartage. At one point, I'm not sure about right now, because like I said, I don't remember exactly what's what, or like which companies have taken over like such there's like one or two companies basically that control something like 90 something percent of the groceries and stuff, for instance. And other company that'll controls like vast majority of the percentage of food that goes to restaurants. My point is that, like, if you order jalapeno poppers or something at a restaurant, you're probably going to have to get the same ones at almost every restaurant you go to, if it's the frozen shit pre-prepared, because it's all going to come from the same company, right? There's so many things now that require... I don't know, man. When I was younger, there was some opportunities there, but it's like the type of stuff that I found interesting was not listed in any of the You know, I mean, I got the guide from the local community college and stuff, and I looked at the courses at the bigger colleges that I could never afford to get into, like around OSU and University of Oregon and all that kind of shit. And these colleges just, I don't know, like look through and it's like, is anything here look interesting? Like a job that you would want? Like, no, not really. It feels like you've got to get into something. You got to either have connection, like, or you gotta, well, you gotta have connections either way. Like, if you want to get into some Ivy League fucking school or whatever, you gotta have connections. And a hell of a lot of money. Oh, hell, I don't know. Equal opportunity. I don't know. I think for younger people, though, you know, that are, you know, bitch about the same thing. See, don't get me wrong. I bitched about shit the same as right now when I was fucking 16 years old, you know? Because things were already kind of screwed up, but it didn't look, you know. Well, I shouldn't have been bitching so much. There was a hell of a lot more opportunity available then than there is now. Things were a lot easier then than they are now. It's probably not going to get any fucking better. And you got a hell of a lot better chance of, you know, getting hired someplace or whatever and working your way up to a higher paying position if you're starting out at an early age. It's true, man. It sure as hell fucking seems to be true, man. I mean, that's what irks me now, is like knowing that, you know, I'm 42 years old. Believe it or not, like Mensa level IQ, right? But if I was to go apply at Burger King or McDonald's or something, right? It would be hard for me to compete in the hiring process versus somebody who's like 19 or even 16 or 17 applying for the same fucking position might have a better shot of getting hired there. Yeah. Mm-hmm. and trying to get any kind of position suitable for my age or intelligence, right? Because it seems like it would all require some sort of, college degree or certification or whatever the fuck that I don't have, you know? Not only that, but I mean, I don't know. It seems to me like for the most part, even schools around here, colleges and stuff, I don't know what college courses I could take around here, any kind of college that I might be able to get into if I had, with Pell Grant and student loan or whatever. Like, what the hell training, certification could I even get through these places? I mean, I suppose I could become a fucking hairdresser, maybe. Dig myself into 30,000, 40,000 in debt or something to get the certification to be a fucking hairdresser or a barber or whatever the fuck. Right? Or, I'm I'm just saying there's tons of things where you have to have some kind of special licensing and certification, and to get that it requires you to sit around for like 2 to 6 years, maybe 8 years or something, just to get the piece of paper or whatever to do a job that people in the past just did for because they were interested in it, you know? I mean, if you want to talk, I don't know if you want to call it an extreme example, but some people might think, oh my god, or it might scare them to realize this, but I mean, in the past, for instance, you could just be a doctor, basically, or a dentist, because you read a book, and you've got a physician's manual, and you're interested in it, and you want to help, Yeah, you would study, but you didn't have to go to some specific school and get the approval of this person or that person. Every job, everything has become like this fucking secret society fucking now, basically, where the only way you get in is to be, you know, I don't know. Maybe a weird fucking, I don't know. That's kind of the way it seems to be now, I think. It's like, I get, on some level, it's kind of always been somewhat that way. Like, you've got to have some kind of connection to some kind of sort of fraternal organization or something almost to get into anything, I think. Like, my grandpa was part of the Lions Club or something. Around here we got the Elks and and you got all these Masonic lodges all over the country. It feels like you've got to be involved in that to get connections, to get hired anywhere, or to get, recommended to get hired anywhere where you actually could get any kind of job that is of any, that is, well, anything other than gas pumper, ditch digger, burger flipper, probably about requires that, yeah. I don't know. I mean, well, I mean, in a lot of ways, it's not what you know, it's who you know, right? Doesn't hurt to know things, but you could know plenty of things and not have any opportunity available to you because you don't know the right people. I don't know, I heard someone say this on a YouTube video. I think it's actually fucking true for the most part. You know? People talk about opportunity. Opportunities aren't just sitting there. Somebody gives them to you, you know? Yeah. Somebody has to give you an opportunity because somebody is holding on to this opportunity, like holding the opportunity hostage, and you've got to get them to give it to you in order to get. Yeah. Oh shit. Well, okay. I probably should toss that sandwich anyway. It's sitting out all night. Now that it hit the floor, there it goes. Freaking mess. Equal opportunity. I just want to have some kind of fucking direction, you know? I never really knew for sure what the fuck I want to do, honestly. I don't want to do some robotic nonsense or whatever. I don't know. There's a number of jobs types of things that I've seen over the years that it's like, okay, that looks like it would be interesting, right? Like it would be interesting to try and think of things off the top of my head that are jobs that probably pay pretty decent, that sound like, you know, it would be an interesting job, or I don't know. Or even if they don't pay. I mean, working at a zoo would probably be interesting, right? Working with animals, right? Well, you probably have to have some kind of multiple years of college degree or whatever to even get hired to work with fucking animals at a zoo nowadays, right? Proved by some university or whatever. That's just one thing. Or I think archaeology was very interesting. Paleontology, very interesting. Even studying like shit. Sorry. So much crap crammed into this fridge. Even like trying to, I don't know. I was gonna say even, I don't know, studying things, right? To be one of these people that does any sorts of study, I mean, I was hiking on a trail, right? Up a mountain a number of years back, and I run into this guy who Like, I guess he's doing his job, and his job is just to walk up this hill and look at the plant life or something. Yeah. Maybe snap a couple of photos of the plant life. I'm sorry. Get shit out of the way so I can actually find the pickles. Trying to fucking make a sandwich. I don't know, man. There's literally people that get paid to sit around and take measurements of butterflies' wings and write them down in a journal or something. You know? People making like 6 figures or more doing that shit. Okay, I actually chopped this fucking onion up properly. Good. Wonder how much it costs to get a job as a surveyor. I know I could fucking do that. Could probably make good money. I see them out every now and again. I've seen tons of people that have these fucking jobs that look like I mean, you know these people are making good money, and their jobs honestly look like a fucking cakewalk, you know? Just a fucking simple walk in the goddamn park, basically. A lot of people like work for the city, or they you see them just cruising around in a golf cart, fucking poking stuff with a stick or something. Where the hell's that? Oh. Well, I don't know. Again, that's another truth, is that most of the jobs are working for government, and well, one thing really screws you over when you start to see start to notice and become a little less brainwashed about things, and you start to be like, hey, these people are doing all this evil stuff, right? Well, then you kind of find yourself in this position where you're looking around and wondering what to do. And you're like, how about this over here? Nope, they're evil. Nope, they're evil. Nope, they're evil. Evil, 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 evil. Every single one. Like, it's like, what do? You languish in poverty forever, or join the dark side, you know? That's what it feels like, man. Even, and in most instances, depending if you're not born into the right family or buddy with the right people, then you're not gonna really get ahead, even if you do join the dark side or whatever. So these companies. Ah, shit. Come on, damn it. Come on, sandwich. I don't know, man. Even the fucking minimum wage jobs and stuff, alright, have got you basically, working for some evil goddamn company. I mean, what would you like to? I mean, think about it. Stores, restaurants. You want to sell booze to someone? How about poisonous food? Or maybe you'd like to contribute to sticking people in cages and kidnapping them and extorting people's money from them. Maybe you can get hired to work in a porn shop and sell smut. Maybe you can get an OnlyFans started up. Sell your nakedness like a whore. Mm-hmm. All sorts of stuff. I watched this video last night, right? Talking about. It sounds like somebody actually found Amelia Earhart. Mm-hmm. Like, that's the kind of shit that's interesting to me, right? I mean, there's much less lofty goals or whatever, but you see these people with these big YouTube channels doing all kinds of stuff that I don't see how in the world I could ever afford to do. How they're affording to do this shit, I'm gonna travel to every, you know. I don't know, like there's people that go around to restaurants all over the country, They'll travel fucking 6 states over to try a KFC in Kentucky or something, right? Or whatever. No, we're gonna travel to the last Pizza Hut that still has a salad bar or still has a buffet, Like to do shit like that, you pretty much already gotta be rich as hell. You know? When you see like YouTube video, somebody going to a fucking restaurant and getting a $1,000 fucking meal or something. Like that's not the kind of thing you can do if you're not already rich. You know? I don't know, man. I think how a lot of the shit works is people just end up getting connections with somebody who is rich that helps them out or that funds their fucking adventures or whatever. I don't know. I know there's this one dude. I used to watch his channel more in the past, like years ago. Been out for like, I don't know. I was watching his channel back when he had like less subs than I did or something. Yeah. There's a bunch of people like that. People that have like got these big fucking lives now and big, tons of subscribers, and they're traveling the fucking world, or they're acting like gurus and shit. You know. Mm. Well, it's like I don't know too much details about the shit, but I know that like I think that must be how it works. I think some like rich people help people out, right? Like probably rich Freemasons or something, and get to liking somebody and help them out, and get them in. I don't know. Like I used to know this dude Trevor, that was kind of a dumbass. He was about my age, I think, like maybe a year younger or something. Small time pot dealer. Hung out with him sometimes. He's always trying to offer me like tiny amounts of money, like to try and wanted me to be a bodyguard or something like that, or eat people up. I'll be like, no, you ain't got the money for that shit, dude. But I mean, this guy like went like I heard he got to the point of like huffing gas and like paint fumes, and like he was getting high and like doing God knows what, probably meth and stuff. But next thing you know, he's off in Greece somewhere. He'd moved to Greece somehow. I think there was some rich guy or something that. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I've seen the kind of shit, numerous times where it's like there's people that don't seem to have anything, that seem to like they're in worse positions than I am, and so on and so forth. And then the next thing you know, they've got some video on their channel. They're traveling around the world. They're hopping airplane flights, going on road trips state to state. And the next thing you know, they're visiting the fucking pyramids in Egypt. Or, and they're getting inside of places in the pyramids where, like, there's no way you would even be allowed or able to get in there without being stopped by, like, military forces unless you had the permission of a guy like Zahi Hawass or whatever let you in, you know. I just wonder, like, how the fuck people get in positions where they actually get to explore places that are cool and stuff. Like, I remember seeing this old video of people, exploring inside the Montezuma's castle in Arizona, out in Verde. Well, I mean, like, that's something that, like, you're not allowed to do that. There's security guards marching around and police and stuff, and you will be arrested if you go into the Montezuma's castle to look around. But these people can go in there and take photographs and look around and go, oh, wow, look at this. Hey, check this out over here. And they're, like, they can go in there, but I can't, right? Yeah. And you see people that have, it's just like having connections, Like, there's people that are allowed to go inside the pyramids of Egypt and search around and things like that, and most people are not allowed to do that and would be arrested and thrown in fucking jail or prison or something if you fucking manage to get past the guards and get in and fucking look around. Mm-hmm. I don't know, I don't know, I even see people who come up with these YouTube channels and stuff that are going and exploring areas that are cool. I mean, for one thing, obviously you would have to have quite a bit of money to fund the shit in the first place to get to these places, to go look around and so on and so forth, and depending on what you're filming exactly or what you're filming looks or whatever, you might have to have, fancy cameraman following you around, or, whatever. But in order to go into, like, sites that, like, people would get arrested for going into, and to be able to go into these places and film them and not get arrested, you gotta have permission from somebody, and they don't just give permission for that sort of shit to just anybody. The reason I brought up the Amelia Earhart thing is that like searching for Amelia Earhart or something like that. Like, that's the kind of shit that sounds really interesting to me, that I would actually be interested in doing, right? Or like searching for treasure at the bottom of the ocean or something, right? Or whatever, right? Stuff like that. How do people get into shit like that? I mean, I think they'd have to be rich in the first place, pretty much, right? And like in the past, not even that freaking long ago in the past, in the 70s and the 80s and shit, it was possible for like basic, like, I don't know. You hear the stories of some of these actors and now directors and producers and stuff, right? That came up basically from nowhere, They have a camera and manage to pull together, 20 or 30 grand or something, and they manage to get a movie together and get it actually out there. Like, that shit don't happen nowadays. Well, not only that, but like being able to get like serious actors involved, and yeah. I'm just saying, like the story of the success of Quentin Tarantino, that shit doesn't just happen if he doesn't run into somebody who's rich and influential who decides to help out or whatever. And you don't just happen to end up at one of these parties with these sorts of people at them. You know what I mean? Right? I guess you do if they want you to, right? I don't know. I'm just saying, even back in the day, even back in the day, although it was a lot more likely back in the day because there was more, things were less monopolized, right? That's one of the reasons why we had, like how much success do you think somebody would have starting their own record label without millions and millions of dollars to begin with nowadays, right? Getting any airtime on radio, so I don't, if you're a musician or let's be real, man. Most of the people in Hollywood, maybe not all of them, but most of them, the actors, in many instances, actors, musicians, a whole bunch of these people, man, these are the, kids and the grandkids and the great great grandkids and the great 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 grandkids of people that worked in that industry since the fucking 1800s or the early 1900s, in a lot of instances. And sometimes it's like it might not even be advertised that way, but right, you might just happen to see a scene from some old movie, black and white silent film or something, and be like, "Oh shit, that looks just like Mel Gibson or something," like, huh, right? You know how there's all this like talk about people being vampires and stuff, right? It's like shit, maybe, or maybe they're just related to people who are in these industries, and like they've just had like a monopoly over, like their family has just passed down the fucking money and fame for generations or something, Like I don't know this shit about everyone for sure, but like off the top of my head, and again, I don't even know if this is correct, but I mean, like Michael Keaton, great actor, big fan of the guy. But it seems to me that the name Keaton was also the last name of Buster Keaton, you know? Yeah, very famous back in the day. Well, yeah, man, in a lot of instances, I mean, I think in most instances, when it comes to like high paying jobs, careers, interesting careers, things like that, it, I think what you're dealing with is essentially like multi-gender, not all the time necessarily, but most of the time, I think what we got going on is like families that pass shit down generation after generation after generation. They pass down money and connections, and they get, you know, parents get their kids a job, grandparents get their kids a job, get them into a fucking lodge or whatever. They get a fucking title or something. And part of what we're dealing with is like literally like extended royalty, right? That's part of it, yeah. What do I mean by extended royalty, you ask? I mean, okay, so there's royal families all over the world, right? And then there's the old money who might not necessarily, although in many instances they are connected with like specific royal bloodlines and stuff. But I mean, you don't have to be a king or queen, a prince or princess, etc., to have some royal bloodline that flows down directly to you, and to have like a line of people in your family that are wealthy, that pass down their connections and so on and so forth to you. If you're somebody in their family that's chosen to have these things passed down to you, right? You might just be the great 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 grandson or something of somebody of the ninth Earl of Ellswich or some shit or whatever. And that might get you into Yale or Harvard or Oxford, or get you a prestigious position in some law firm or some big corporation working in an office behind a cubicle or something. Yeah. And there's all sorts of this like secret society sort of shit, right? There's the more big time secret society, but the fraternities and stuff like that, fraternal organization. It's all kind of connected, on some level. I mean, it doesn't even have to be like. Again, there's like there's different levels, but it's all like people get advantages from the shit, right? If you get into some good school, into some fancy, fraternity with people that have connections, right? Then when it comes time to get out into the workforce, you've got all these fucking connections, and maybe you get a job working for your frat brother's dad or frat brother's grandpa's company or something. And comes up and you guys do the secret fucking handshake. Hoo, la, hey, hoo, huzzah, or whatever the fuck, and now you're hired, right? That's, I think, how the fuck it works in a lot of this shit, man. Royal Order Water Buffalo, That's what the fuck gets you hired, man. Basically, I think with like a job that actually pays anything, any kind of career that's fucking interesting, and it's not even necessarily interesting careers, just anything that fucking pays decently, I think, is like that. And honestly, on some level, I think this even extends not just at the high level, but on the low levels too. Right? Because these secret society, royal people and everything, like they own everything, man. They own fucking McDonald's too. They own Burger King too. They own the motherfucking gas station. They own the... yeah, they own everything. Mm-hmm. So if one of their kids applies to work at fucking McDonald's, they're going to be the manager, not you. Right? That's how it fucking is. Now, I don't know. I think there's a huge advantage to not kind of waking up to conspiracy theory sort of shit, right? I think learning about the shit that I learned about and stuff was like a huge disadvantage, honestly, in terms of like being able to try and make money or get into anything, because, makes you sort of judgmental of things and not and think about things that most people don't think about, and not thinking about things is what gets you into positions of, getting into better, jobs and having connections with people that can help you out in your career and so on and so forth. Those sorts of people are going to like you a hell of a lot better if you don't think of them as evil blood-sucking vampire demons, right? Yeah, right? Like, if you don't know what the hell's going on, you think... Well, I don't know, like, for instance, you're a lot more likely to get hired by Bill Gates if you think Bill Gates is this really great guy, and you're like, gee, Bill, I really admire you, versus, like, if your mindset is that he was involved in a mass genocide of a bunch of innocent people and that he's a psycho trying to fucking destroy the planet and enslave everyone, right? You could see how that difference in mindset would make the difference between getting hired at Microsoft or not getting hired at Microsoft. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Which again is something that would have been a lot easier in the past as well, because, well, I don't know. Even if the wealthy, people in the past, were evil to. Well, for one thing, okay, there was less monopolization of everything, so there was a lot of different places, and there really were a lot of people that were probably pretty decent, good people that were succeeding because there was a lot more opportunity out there to be competitive, There was a somewhat more even distribution of resources and a financial system that wasn't nearly as collapsed as it is now. Nowadays, Nowadays, it's kind of like this. It's got, like, imagine the same guy owns, yeah, like, imagine if the same guy owns KFC, Taco Bell, Pizza Hut, Pizza King, Papa Murphy's, Jack in the Box, McDonald's, Burger King, Chick-fil-A, like every fucking food, every restaurant in town is owned by the same company, by the same person, right? And then let's say that you get fired or something from McDonald's or whatever, right? And you want to go look for another job. You've got all this experience in the food industry, so you go look for a job. You apply over at Taco Bell, you apply at Burger King, you apply at Pizza Hut, so on and so forth. Are you going to get hired? Fuck no. Why not? Because the same people that just fired you own all these other companies too. Yeah. Or let's say you quit and you go look for a different job. Well, now they're mad because how dare you, right? Try to look for opportunities for advancement by trying to apply to work at Pizza Hut while you're working at McDonald's or whatever the heck. Whatever, right? Well, then you're fired, or, what? Yeah. I'm just saying, like, that's kind of where we're at, dude,